Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the Paragon 4 EMD F7A and B and the F3A and B from Broadway Limited. Now these locomotives in CB and Q for the F3s and Denver Rio Grande Western for the F7s are a brand new 2024 release as of this recording date in mid-May. So I hope you take a look at these and see if they're up your alley. We'll get started right now. Okay, we'll just unbox one unit so that we're not being repetitive, because it's all the same unboxing experience. One thing I did notice from Broadway Limited is they're now putting the data manufacturer on the inside of the box. So these were manufactured just a couple months ago. Paragon 4 Rolling Thunder handout. It's got some new locomotives coming out. Manual. Operator's manual here. Diesel locomotives, 27 pages long. Broadway Limited's also releasing Union Pacific business cars. Go on the back of modern consists, and they'll be releasing other cars, including Pennsylvania Railroad business cars also. So be sure to check those out for pre-order. They are supposedly selling out pretty quickly. There's the unit out of the blister packaging. And we're gonna peel off the side plastic panels here. Got a little gel silica do not eat deal. If I ever get a terminal illness, maybe I'll eat it and see what happens, just so I can report back to you guys with a full review. All right, so there is the F unit in all of its glory. And again, this is the F7A from the Denver Rio Grande. We'll look at the other schemes shortly after this one. First thing you may notice is this antenna sticking out way up top here, so that raises up significantly off the body. Bidirectional horn, etched metal windshield wipers, grab irons on the nose, LED headlight, number boards, and Mars light. A metal coupler with a magnetic trip pin that is sprung is also on the front. Pilot has, looks like, separately applied details there for coupler cut levers. It's hard to tell. There's a little stirrup there, crew access ladder there and there with cabin tier, and there is a crew person on this side but not the other side. So there is one crew person installed on the engineer side. So etched metal grating right here, portholes for inspection access to the prime mover is also on the side, and sight glass on the emergency, or sight glass and emergency button on the fuel tank there. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you guys can get a little bit more detail and look. You can also see exhaust stacks, which I believe these are, protruding out. Got fans, fan grills up top, including radiator fans. Lift lugs or lift rings are also protruding upwards, as you can see there and there. 4 in total on this rear. That is probably the best look of the top, including very minute in size rivet detail. So you can see those in latch detail, really nice on top. Silver tipped accessory hoses and MU hoses down on the bottom, along with the airline hose. Another metal coupler, got a diaphragm that is sprung on the rear. And again, a little hard to see with all this black, but there's a door in the diaphragm and a little door window as well. Door latch is molded in also. Separately applied grabs on this side, and rivet detail molded in, weld line detail molded in also on this side of the locomotive, and there you see the little cab figure. And then we're back up front here. There's also grabs on each side of the headlight there. Now we have the B unit in all of its splendor here. More of the same detail that we talked about, except there's no discernible cab on the B unit. These units are just used to accessorize the power of the A unit. So you have more motive power for more pulling power, both on the real railroad and model railroad. Portholes along the side, etched metal grills, separately applied grabs, etc. We've already covered all of this. Obviously, you're going to have diaphragms that are sprung on both ends instead of just one. And you can see the detail there. You can also see really small writing, like D and GW there on the side, and the number. So over here, you've got F marked for forward position, so you know which way to put it. But the way I look is I look at the configuration of the fans, and I put it in the same direction, but that little F will tell you the same thing and tell you how to put this in which direction. Or you can just power it on, and if one of them goes backwards on your DCC system, flip it around. But that is the B unit. Here's the CB and Q. Now this beautiful silver is going to go perfect with my California Zephyr cars from Broadway Limited. But as you can see, the Burlington route is on the front there. You've got the dual headlight and Mars light configurations. A lot of the same detail we talked about on the previous run, but there are differences because Broadway Limited is doing road specific detail. There's no protruding antenna out the middle. You do have the bidirectional horn. There are no protruding, well, I'm sorry, the raised fan grills on here versus the flat fan grills on the Rio Grande. I'll just pull this up forward so you can see it. You see the difference there? And also on the rear, you've got this back panel has differences compared to the just blanked out panel on the Denver Rio Grande. But the silver gives you a nice contrast to better see the door between the diaphragms, some of the truck detail, etc. You still have etched metal grating on the sides, and that is about all for the A unit on the CB and Q. Give you a little look at the bottom there. Got some extra shiny trucks due to excess lubrication, but other than that, you also get a blanked out piece pilot for the front of the CB and Q if you don't want a coupler or coupler window. So that area right there will be blanked out if you swap those out. Last but not least, here's the B unit of the CB and Q. Seems like it doesn't want to be centered there, but there's a 360 of that. And again, differences. You have the blank panel right by my fingers there, over here on the Denver Rio Grande, but this one has I believe a vent and some other thing coming out of the panel there. You'll have to excuse my lack of knowledge on this era of locomotives. Let's go ahead and take a weight here, and 466 grams, 1 pound, 0.4 ounces, 0.5 ounces it looks like. Add it. The B unit, you got 2 pounds, 1.6 ounces, or 952 grams. All right, we have these locomotives on the track, and I've got the Denver Rio Grande here. You may hear some rumble below. That is the subwoofer for the Rolling Thunder system, which I have mounted on the wall right there. So you can still pick up the Rolling Thunder receivers and stuff, and maybe even the subwoofer, depending on where your local hobby shop may or may not have it. But these units, first thing we're going to look at is if they kind of maintain their space well. So if they're speed matched between each other well, and they appear to be pretty much maintaining their gap at the same gap. Okay, let's listen to some sounds. There's the bell. Horn. We're going to go to F22 and do the alternate horn. Back to the regular horn there. Coupler sound F3, you have to move it. Okay. F4 is air compressor. F5 will increase your prime mover notches, or RPM of the prime mover, and F6 will decrease it. F7 turns the Mars light off and on. So now that's off. Swing that by the front here so you can see that a little better. So here's F7 again for the Mars light. It's a nice clear white. You also have the class lights with a clear white as well. F8's volume. F9 startup and shutdown. F10 is radiator cooling fan. F11 fills the air lines. F12 is brake set, brake release. Grade crossing whistle F13. F14 station sounds. Alright, F15's yard radio chatter, 16's maintenance radio chatter. There's all the way to 28 with different chatters and background sounds we've covered before, including industrial sounds, lumber mill. There's also record and playback macro where you can record a sequence with F27 and play it back with F26, including speed and sound sequences. Now we have just the A unit. One speed step is 2.6 scale miles an hour. So a little quick, but smooth nonetheless. We'll check reverse. Also pretty smooth. One thing I want to show you with the CB and Q is got the same horn, so just checking that out. But what happens is when you put these locomotives on the track, it starts building up the capacitance, with the capacitor inside building up some electricity reserves in case you have dirty track or areas that your track lost a feeder or something like that. So with that said, this has been sitting on the track for about a minute now. We'll go ahead and lift it up. As you can see, still going for a few seconds here at least. and that allows you to coast through some bad track areas. So that's the added capacitance that's been a feature added to Paragon 4. And that's what sets these apart from other F units and other previous releases, even of Broadway Limited F units. Coupler height was good on 3 of the 4 units and only one end on the 4th unit, but I wanted to show you the diaphragm spacing between units. This is pretty realistic. Very small gap there between diaphragms, so that is nice when these get moving along. And speaking of moving along, I wanted you to see them working together. As you can see, these are running so well together out of the box without speed matching that the diaphragm gap isn't even changing much. Alright, in the dark you can see in reverse you have the marker lights on here, as well as forward. There's your very bright, nice, slight golden white LED and Mars light headlight combo. Once you get up to, I believe, 3 or 4 speed steps, that cab light turns off. And the consist moves out. People ask if there's a rear light on these. There is no rear light. I don't know if the actual F units had rear lights or not, but it's not equipped on this locomotive. Now the number boards look really bright due to the contrast, but they're not actually that bright. They're actually just right, in my opinion, with no bleed through and nice even lighting. The C has a very small portion. It's a little more brighter than the other areas, but overall I believe this is a nice lit number board. Also, I can't find F units that do have rear lights, so it's probably accurate that they don't. Well, we're going to do a pull test now with both units. Both units pulling at about 4.5, I'll call it. It's about 67 to 70 freight cars for both units. We're going to do a pull test now on just the A unit, because I know some of you will be buying just A units. And you're at about 2, so about 30 cars pull test on the A unit. Well, we're going to go silent on these, and I'll cover some of my final thoughts. These F units are excellent in terms of the etched metal grills and details. It looks like Broadway Limited has stepped up their game on details, such as silver-tipped and accessory hoses. The trucks look more robust. You've got the etched metal on windshield wipers and grills, like I said. And Paragon 4 DC and DCC operation with 28 functions. That added capacitance is nice as well. The only real con I could find on these period dot is the pulling power could be a little better, but I believe with an A and B unit combined, you're going to be able to pull anything realistic for that era of consist, because keep in mind, this is pre-PSR by far. So you've got consists that are nowhere near what you see in consists today of 200 freight cars. There's, you know, anywhere between 20, 30, 50, 70, 80 in consists back in that day at the most, I would believe, if my research is correct. So with that said, that's about it. I'll leave you with a run by of these locomotives, and we'll see you next time right here on the channel. Take care.
Many of the products you see in this video are available at trainworld.com. Since 1968, this family-owned business has been serving the needs of the modeling community with 2 New York brick-and-mortar store locations in Brooklyn and Long Island, plus their vast array of online items. Shop 24/7 at trainworld.com.